I'd like to call the Mentor City Council regular meeting, March 21st, 2023 to order. Invocation will be given by Councilman Kirchner.
Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this day. Help us to use good judgment for the business at hand and guide us in wisdom with a continuing sense of truth and fairness for the community we represent.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Julie, please call the roll.
Tell me.
Mr. Kirchner.
Here.
Mr. Krieger.
Here.
Mr. Marne.
Here.
Mr. Blake.
Here.
Mr. Donovan.
Here.
Mrs. Dowling.
Here.
Mr. Freeman.
Excused. Council, you're in receipt of the March 7th, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Tabled legislation, we have none. New legislation, ordinance number 23-0-026.
An ordinance to authorize advances of funds and revisions to appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Malinowski, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak, members of council. This ordinance does two things. Firstly, it authorizes a temporary cash advance out of the city's general fund in order to temporarily fund two grant funds, the largest being the new NOPEC money coming in. And then secondly, it includes the corresponding increases in the appropriations for those same grants, as well as an appropriation in the cultural donation fund for the water fountain at our Springbrook Garden Parks.
Thank
I
you,
would
sir.
recommend approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malinowski. Council?
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Ordinance number 23-0-026 is approved. Ordinance number 23-0-027.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to award a bid contract to Geauga Highway Company for the 2023 Mentor Lagoons roadway maintenance project and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Swigger, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Three bids are opened on Friday, March 3rd for the 2023 Mentor Lagoons roadway maintenance project. Bid package consisted of a base bid and no alternates. Base bid includes roadway subgrade repairs, mechanical stabilization, compaction, and a double chip seal of the marina roadways for docks A, B, and C, and the marina entrance. That represents about 2.3 miles of roadway. Roadways D and E will be repaired after the bulkhead repair for dock D is completed, and that should be sometime after the fall of 2024. The three bids received range from a low bid of $320,000 to a high bid of approximately $537,000. It's been determined that Geauga Highway Company of Hiram, Ohio submitted the lowest total bid of $320,070. The engineer's opinion of probable construction cost was $670,000, and I will add that there was an error in that estimate of about $300,000. So, the review of the bid from Geauga Highway Company indicates it's in conformance with all contract requirements. Therefore, recommended that a contract be awarded to Geauga Highway Company, who are experienced and qualified to perform the work in the amount of $320,070. Scheduled completion date for the project is June 23rd of 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swigger. Council?
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Ordinance number 23-0-027 is approved. Ordinance number 23-0-028.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Northfield Group LLC for the installation of a fabric ceiling system at the Recreation Center and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Council, this is actually just a material cost, as most of you are aware. The insulation and the fabric that holds up the installation at our recreation center when we purchased it is pretty much shot and in need of replacement. That insulation and the present material have been removed. We're under contract for the labor, which we bid out separately. When we bid this out, together with the labor, it would exceed the $50,000 limit, so we felt like we wanted to bring this to you as a single project. It will be delivered. It's anticipated that if this is approved, it would be delivered in April.
Thank you, Mr. Flippia. Council.
Move to suspend.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah.
Blake. Go
Just
ahead.
sort of a related topic. I get asked every day when this is going to open, so when I saw this particular ordinance come through, I knew that we weren't going to be opening until after this gets installed. So I've been telling people, like the last couple months, probably the end of March.
Oh, that was a mistake.
Do we have another date that I can start telling people that the rec center will open on?
That was still a mistake.
Once this goes up, is this the last thing to be done, or?
It's not the last thing to be done, but you've heard me say this a few times, a lot of these things have to happen in sequence. So this material has to be installed before we can install the lights that go on top,
Okay.
below that. And the lights have to be installed before we paint the floor to redesignate some of the changes in use out there, before we can move equipment and things like that. So we do have a date in mind. I'm probably going to talk about that a week from today at a State of the City address, but it's probably looking more like June or July.
I'll start telling people June or July. Maybe they'll forget I said March or January
Well,
September.
again,
or May. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot with that. It's just, that's all I hear.
understood.
Council.
We're anxious too.
It shows excitement. I mean, people are excited.
Absolutely.
Did you already suspend? Scott,
Move
did
to
you
suspend.
second?
Yeah.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second. Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
So I sort of compare this to Hendricks Road, you know. We were getting calls and John was getting called every day. It's done. Everybody's happy. And when this is done, we've got a first-class
Right.
place and we're not gonna hear anybody asking. They're gonna say, wow, how great this is, so,
True.
yes.
I agree wholeheartedly, yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Ordinance number 23-0-028. We have a walk-on ordinance here.
No.
Pardon me?
No, no, no.
It's in
under
order.
new business.
Oh, it's under,
It's
okay.
down here.
All right, the number was, okay, good. All right, we have a resolution number 23-R-105.
A resolution declaring the necessity for the installation of a stormwater collection system to provide drainage for stagnant water located at 9482 Headlands Road, permanent parcel number 16D119A000180, providing for assessment of cost to the property owners of 9482 Headlands Road and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Krieger, I mean, Mr. Flippia, go ahead.
Well, I would defer to Councilman Krieger if he wants to
No,
make
well-
mention of this.
This came about because of a new young homeowner family down on the Headlands Road where they ended up, they have a 2-year-old and a 2-week-old, and the water in the basement kept coming up to where it was knee-high, and they had to exit the home. And so, trying to help them out, we said, well, we can extend this, but we've got to do it by assessment. So the assessment's around $3,600, and council has the availability of deciding how that's paid, and I chose, along with a couple council people, 10 years. So, you know, to help them out. They got lawsuits going against the realtor or against, you know, the previous homeowner. So it's just to help them out.
Mr. President?
Staley.
Just wanted to make a comment. Actually, this is a former son of a former neighbor of mine, longtime Menor family, that relocated back, and they reached out to me, and I was really pleased. I reached out to John, and he took the ball and ran with it, and they could not be happier. I mean, it was a perfect storm, a 2-year-old and a 2-week baby, and you can't bring your baby to your home. So, and they didn't know. They were looking for guidance, and the city provided it for them. They weren't asking for anybody to solve their problem for them. They were looking for guidance and the right way to do it, and the administration, and worked with John, and
somehow,
Got it
under some
done.
warranty for some of the previous homeowner or whatever, they're gonna have the trench or the connection from the house to our new storm sewer at no cost to them. So that's great.
keeps getting better.
Yep.
Counsel?
Move to suspend.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Definitely,
Mr. Marne?
yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Did you say yes?
Yes, dear.
Okay. Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Resolution number 23-R-105 is adopted.
One of these days, we have to say no to Mr. Krieger and we're.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but
One of these days.
how do you say no to that?
You don't, no. We never do.
Ordinance number 23-0-025.
An ordinance adopting an employee handbook applicable to council employees.
Mr. President, I move this to second reading. Third reading, I'm sorry.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Third readings, we have none. Managers report.
Thank you, council. Did you want to add ordinance 29 to the agenda first? or
It's
go
under
on?
new business.
Okay. All
We'll
right,
get
thank you, council. We have 4 pavement open cut requests that we would ask for your consideration on. The first is at a request from Aqua, Ohio on Southwood Road to cut the pavement for the installation of a new 6-inch water line, and ask for council's concurrence.
Counsel?
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Thank you, council. The second request is also from Aqua, Ohio. It is for 3 locations for open cuts along Burr Ridge Avenue for the installation of a new 8-inch water line. The first would be at the intersection at Menor Avenue. The second would be just south of that of Menor Avenue, and the third at the intersection of Carlton Court.
Counsel?
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Third request is for a open cut at 4535 Willowbrook Drive for a new 6-inch sanitary sewer connection. The request is being made from, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Fatica or Fatica Renovation.
Fatica is right.
Fatica?
Yeah. Counsel?
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Thank you, council. And then the final one is also from Aqua, Ohio. They are intending to install a new valve at 7766 Reynolds Road for the purpose of being able to isolate Industrial Park Boulevard.
Counsel?
Okay, I'm just looking at this real quick.
All
Ken,
right.
is this certain times of the day they'll be doing this?
This particular one,
It's on, it says Reynolds Road.
you know, Mr. Swigger, if there's a time of day
The
assigned
only
to
I
this?
mention that is because, you know, we got the issue on Center, on the Center Street now, and there's a lot of traffic's gonna be coming Reynolds Road way.
The work hours are 8 PM to 7 AM right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good.
Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Council and other business, the city's spring yard waste collection program begins on Monday, April 3rd. Residents can put up to 12 units of yard waste out of each week on their regular collection day. A unit is a biodegradable bag or up to a 32-gallon reusable container. We do ask that our residents mark that with the letters YW they are allowed to contain grass clippings, trimmings, twigs, or leaves, or bundles of sticks no more than 4 feet in length and 3 inches in diameter. The ODOT State Route 615 Bridge Deck Replacement Project lane closures were implemented today. Traffic is limited to 1 lane in each direction from around Nolan Street to Tyler Boulevard. Traffic is being shifted to the eastern half of the bridge. The corridor will be monitored for the next 2 weeks, and adjustments to the traffic signal timing will be made where possible to help relieve congestion. Also, and this is a little bit of a change from what we anticipated, due to narrower lane widths across the bridge, a southbound truck detour has been established, so trucks will not be permitted southbound beyond Tyler Boulevard. The signed truck detour route is State Route 2 to State Route 306 to Menor Avenue to 615. So I think that follows the original detour for all vehicular traffic, but in this case, it'll just apply to trucks. The city has been informed that rail replacement will occur on the Norfolk Southern Railroad tracks throughout the city this spring. It is anticipated that rail delivery may occur this week. Each crossing will be closed for approximately 4 hours during that delivery. However, rail replacement and crossing reconstruction is expected to occur in late May or June. Crossings impacted include Hopkins Road, Patterson Drive, Station Street, Maple Street, Hart Street, and Plaza Boulevard. These crossings are expected to be closed for up to 3 days when construction takes place, and obviously we are doing our very best to coordinate with the railroad in terms of trying to make sure that we have acceptable routes for emergency traffic and detours. So we'll keep you appraised as to what that schedule looks like as it happens. And then finally, Council, we do have 2 new businesses to announce to you this evening. Auto Alterations at 8635 Tyler Boulevard, and U.S. Safety Gear Incorporated at 7516 Tyler Boulevard. We thank them for their investment and wish them success here in our city.
Mr. President,
Thank you, Mr. Flippia. Mr. Blake.
I got a question, Ken. This very sweet, nice lady came up to me in church last Saturday, and she says, when can we start renting the community center at Springbrook? Because I think there's a lot of excitement being generated about that people are noticing it's nearing completion, it's getting there. So I whispered back, I said, I'll ask on Tuesday. So do we have an idea when people can start running that, when the rental rates will be available, maybe on our website?
So we will actually be making announcements on that relatively soon. The project will be completed in May, and I think Council, I believe you're already aware that we're planning on having our business appreciation reception there as a first event in May. I will tell you, we have a tremendous number of requests already for use of that, everything from weddings to graduations, et cetera, as you can imagine. We haven't quite figured out exactly what the rental rate's going to be on that yet, but it will be posted certainly at least within, or probably early April for sure. That will be posted on our website. And then also some persons can call and ask about that information. We actually just had a conversation about this, Mr. Fowler, Mr. Kaminsky, and I, and we were talking about how we may want to approach rentals initially because there's such a demand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, typically it's first come, first serve, but we have so many right now outstanding. We might have to look at, I don't know, some sort of lottery or something like that because it's a lot right now.
Like I say, they're whispering
that
in
may-
church.
Yeah, that may thin out once we post the
trying to-
rates, but we'll see.
She had dates. She had dates
Yeah.
that she wanted.
And I can tell you, it's looking fantastic. And
Yeah.
speaking with representatives from Zerby Construction, it will be done in May.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it, Mr. Flippia?
Yes,
That's
thank
your
you.
report. Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, one question.
Mr. Krieger?
Did you get your water turned back on today?
I don't know. I hope so. Mr. Kirchner,
Yeah.
is your water on today?
It was, but I saw they were going at it today, so I said, I wonder if Ken's getting impacted.
We were out and supposed to be out until at least 2 o'clock in the long bellflower there, so we'll see.
Just thought I'd ask.
Clerk's correspondence.
Council's in receipt of the Mentor Municipal Court 2022 Annual Report and the month-end report for February of 2023. That is all.
Thank you. Commission committee reports. Council, you're in receipt of the Tree Commission, February 8th, 2023. Board of Building and Zoning Appeals, February 14th, 2022. Old business, we have none.
Yes, we do.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Kirschner.
Mr. President, I just want to thank City Manager Flipiak and Mr. Malachek for going to meet with, on many occasions, on the phone, in person, with the folks from Visconsi. And I'm happy to report that while there's a total victory, because they don't own the property on Center Street, but they are going to put up wrought iron type fencing between the whatever those brick columns are, on Tyler. So it's a small victory, but I'm glad that they responded to some of our concerns about the landscaping and architecture. So.
That's it.
all
Thank you,
I
sir. New business, we have a walk-on ordinance 23-0-029.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Mars Electric Company for the purchase of 72 lighted bollards and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Schweikert in a second, but I appreciate council considering this on short order. We did find out, so these are halophane bollards, and we've specified this type. It's the same brand that we use for the decorative street lights that the city owns throughout the city. So we're sticking with that theme, and it's just the choice that makes the most sense for our Memorial Promenade at the cemetery. There's 72 of these that we'll need for that project. The reason it's coming to you and as quick as it is that we learned very recently that it's a 40-day delivery. So much like the conversation we just had about the rec center and the problems that we've had with supply there, in order for this to be ready for us to celebrate the Memorial Day celebration there, which is what our intent was, and I think council's intent, we do need to get these ordered. So Mr. Schweikert, do you want to?
Thank you. It is the city's intent to install lighted decorative bollards along the recently constructed promenade at the Mentor Cemetery. In light of extended delivery timeframes, there will not be sufficient time to request sealed bids for this purchase and still meet our deadline of Memorial Day. As a result, we are requesting that City Council approve this purchase based on the attached quotes. Our request for quotes is predicated on the purchase of 72 lighted bollards. It is expected that we will request no PEC funding for this purchase since energy-efficient LED lights are being specified. The quotes are listed below with the low quote from Mars Electric of $71,639.66 being the low quote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikert. Council?
Move to suspend.
Second. Julie, please call a roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Move to approve?
Second.
Julie, please call a roll.
Mr. Kirchner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Ordinance number 23-0-029 is approved. Persons before council. Julie, we have anybody? No one? Council?
Mr. President, I'd like to motion to move the January 2nd, 2024 organizational meeting to January 9th, 2024 per Section 3-02 of the Charter, which requires the organizational meetings to be held the first Tuesday after January 3rd.
Council? Do we need
The
a
only
second?
question is, do we know who we have coming up in terms of board appointments, in terms of BZA and planning, and does that create a problem that it's as late as January 9th? Mr. Zeman?
No, we should be okay
Because if they
because
have
they
a
serve.
meeting, you see what I'm saying, where
because
they
they serve.
You see what I'm saying, where they're doing something?
Right. The organizational meetings for both the Planning Commission and BZA are well into January, so that should be fine.
Okay.
Because their first meetings are, I think the Planning Commission is into like the third Thursday of the month, and likewise the BZA is towards the end of the month as well, so it should be
There's
fine.
nothing that, I'm saying, that could be pertinent enough that we need to move it back one day instead of back a whole week, is what I'm saying.
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. All right, thanks. Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Council? Move to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting's adjourned.